Heather here and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to do a nice comfy cozy book haul. So I'm just going to be talking about and showing you all the books that I've gotten in the month of August, which I absolutely love these videos. I love watching book hauls. I love making book hauls. So if you like this video, please give it a big old thumbs up and also hit that subscribe button down below. And let's get into this. So let's see here. First off, I recently finished reading Carnival, which is the first book of the Carnival series by Stephanie Garber. I absolutely loved it. It was amazing. 5 out of 5 stars. I need more. So I went and ordered Legendary and also Finale. And I'm planning on reading Legendary in September. And I also might pick up Finale too. It all depends because I do have a lot on my September TBR, which my TBRs are listed. They're basically the end credits of my monthly wrap-up videos. So you'll probably see this video before my August wrap-up video. But yes, needless to say, I want to try to finish the series because I absolutely loved it. I thought it was amazing. And I just need more of Scarlet and Donatella and Master Legend. I just need them, and yes. So excited! And since this is for sure on my TBR, I'm going to add it to my TBR pile, which is actually, as you can see, is a little full. Then, I thought I had all of The Girl Who Circumvented Fairyland in a Ship of Her Own Making, but I was actually missing 2 books. I don't know how I did that. So, I had the first and second book, and then I had the 5th book. Or, no. I had the first 2 books, and then the 4th book, and I was missing the 3rd book and the 5th book. So now I have the whole series. And I'm thinking about actually doing a dedicated, reading vlog to this series, because I believe this is, for middle grade. So, it should be a fairly quick read, and the books are also, I think, all around, 200-ish pages. So I think I could get them done really quickly. But if you don't know what the series is about, so we'll talk about the first book. Let's see here. September is a girl who longs for adventure when she is invited to fairyland by a green wind and a leopard. Interesting. Well, of course she accepts. Mightn't you? But fairyland is in turmoil, and it will take one 12-year-old girl, a book-loving dragon, and a strange and almost human boy named Saturday to vanquish an evil Marquess and restore order. Not since Oz has there been a land or a cast of characters so rich and entrancing. Well, you know what? I love The Wizard of Oz. I also love Alice in Wonderland. So, I want to get this series read because it just looks really cute. Alrighty. And then there's this series. I love fairies. Fairy, the fairy concept, fairy books focused on fairies or fairyland or the fae, pixies, you name it. I love them. So I have the first book of the Fairy Ring series, which it's an old ex-library copy. It's by Kiki Hamilton, and I've had this for years, and I've never gotten around to reading it. Oh, well, part of the reason was because I didn't have the rest of the books. Well, I have the rest of the books now. I actually went and ordered all of them. It looks like the books form a picture. And since I have the first book in hardcover, I don't know if it's... it might work. But the picture isn't going to exactly match. But this here, I'm just excited to read this series. But anyway, I picked up The Torn Wing, The 7-Year King, and The Fairy Queen. And this series is about, let's read what the first book says. The year is 1871, so it's the Victorian era. Yes, my favorite time period. And Tiki has been making a home for herself and her family of orphans in a deserted hideaway adjoining Charing Cross Station in central London. It's also set in London. Yes. I actually read this earlier and I was getting stoked because I'm like, man, now I really want to read this too. There's just too many good books. Their only means of survival is by picking pockets. One December night, Tiki steals a ring and sets off a chain of events that could lead to an all-out war with the Fae. For the ring belongs to Queen Victoria, and it binds the rulers of England and the realm of fairy to peace. With the ring missing, a rebel group of fairies hopes to break the treaty with dark magic and blood. Tiki's blood. Unbeknownst to Tiki, she is being watched and protected by Riker, a fellow thief who suspects she is involved in the disappearance of the ring. Riker has secrets of his own, and Tiki is not all that she appears to be. Her very existence haunts Prince Leopold, the Queen's son, who is driven to know more about the mysterious mark that encircles her wrist. Prince, Pauper, and Thief all must work together to secure the treaty. Okay, so it sounds like there might be a love triangle going on here. There's fairies. It's set in Victorian London. I am here for this. I am so excited. This sounds absolutely amazing. I might actually have to try to get the first book read in September. But like I said, there's so much on my list. I don't know. But yes, I'm so excited for the series. And I'm so happy I finally have it all. That way, once I'm in the mood, I can just binge it. Then the next book I got, which I actually found this. Is it a first edition? Yes. I found this on eBay. This is Firebird by Mercedes Lackey, and this is a first edition from December 1996. So this is a pretty old book. This book is like 7 years younger than me. So it's 20-something years old, and it's in like really great condition. But Mercedes Lackey is, I don't know if she's as popular anymore, but in the 90s she was a very popular like adult fantasy writer, and she did this like fairy tale series. It ended up only being 2 books. It was this one here and then The Black Swan, and I have quite a few of her books, but I've only ever read her Elvenborn series or trilogy, and that was really good. So I love fairy tales, so I've been trying to get all of the ones that she wrote that's around fairy tales. But this one here says, Mercedes Lackey is one of today's best-loved and best-selling fantasy writers. And yet again, this book was written in 1996. So in 1996, she was best-loved and best-selling fantasy writer. Her series from The Last Herald Mage to the Mage Storms trilogies have redefined adventure fantasy for a new generation. Her standalone works like The Fire Rose and Tor's own Sacred Ground have further strengthened her reputation as a writer of entertaining fantasies that appeal to a wide readership. In Firebird, Lackey draws inspiration from the classic Russian fairy tale to present a marvelous coming-of-age fantasy with a most unusual setting, medieval Russia before unification under the Tsars. Ilya is the son of a boyar, a Russian prince. In his father's rough-and-tumble household, Ilya is persecuted by his large, doltish older brothers who delight in tormenting him and making him seem the fool. His only friends are 3 old people, a priest, a magician, and a woman who toils in the palace kitchens. From them, Ilya learns faith, a smattering of magic, and the power of love, all of which he will need desperately, for his life is about to be turned upside down. The boyar's magnificent cherry orchard is visited at midnight by the legendary Firebird, a gigantic, magnificent hawk whose wings seem to be made of flame. Ilya's father and brother swear to capture the magical creature, but each fails. When Ilya disobeys his father and makes his own attempt to catch the Firebird, he is banished. The young man journeys through a fantastical Russia full of magical mazes, enchanted creatures, and untold dangers. Gifted with the ability to understand the speech of animals, Ilya saves the life of a fox who becomes his most steadfast companion. As happens in the best fairy tales, Ilya falls in love with an enchanted princess. Ah, my favorite, I love. To free her, he must battle a cantankerous wizard and a powerful dragon. Magic swirls throughout this battle as Ilya uses his wits, his warriors, and magical skills, and some very unusual allies to save the day and win true love. That just sounds so good, so magical. I'm so excited to read this. Like, yes, I'm so happy. If you guys haven't read Mercedes Lackey, you really should check her out because she's very entertaining. I really enjoy her. And she also has like, I think like a magician series that she wrote. I don't know. She does a lot of different stuff, but I really am more into fairy tales and fairy tale retelling, so that is what I'm trying to get of hers right now. So, Yes. And this just sounds so good. Also, happily ever after. I'm here for it. Then I also ordered this from eBay, which is The Secret History by Donna Tartt. I never actually heard of this book or like was really interested in reading it or whatever, but Jamie from Jamie's Library and then Chloe from Books with Chloe both like this book, which I think it's Jamie's favorite book, and then Chloe is currently reading it and she's really liking it, and it's supposed to be dark academia, which I kind of really want to read more dark academia books. So I decided to pick this up, and I don't really know that much about it, but it says, truly deserving of the accolade of modern classic, Donna Tartt's novel is a remarkable achievement, both compelling and elegant, dramatic and playful. Under the influence of their charismatic classics professor, a group of clever, eccentric misfits at an elite New England college discover a way of thinking and living that is a world away from the humdrum existence of their contemporaries. But when they go beyond the boundaries of normal morality, they slip gradually from obsession to corruption and betrayal, and at last inexorably into evil. I couldn't say that word. Okay, that's great. But yes, that sounds really interesting, and it's not, I mean, the print is pretty small on this, so it doesn't look like that big of a book, but because the print is so small, it's probably going to take a while to read. But I want to get to this soon too, because it just sounds really good, and I want to read it. And then, I got the new paperback box set of The Daughter of Smoke and Bone. I had the original, like, set, the first 2 books in paperback and the last one in hardback. They didn't really match. They didn't really look that good on my shelf, and I've only ever read the first book. So I was like, you know what? I also had a $15 Amazon gift card. I was like, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get this box set, and I'm finally going to get the series read. Because I remember I really liked the first book, but I don't remember anything that happened. So I'm going to have to start from the beginning. Which, luckily, it's the smallest book in the series. But these covers are gorgeous. Oh, okay. So here's the first book. Look how beautiful this is. So this is Daughter of Smoke and Bone by Delaney Taylor. And this is, once upon a time, an angel and a devil fell in love. It did not end well. Around the world, black handprints are appearing on doorways, scorched by winged strangers who have crept through a slit in the sky. And in the tangled lanes of Prague, a young art student named Karu is about to be caught up in a brutal, otherworldly war. When a stranger, beautiful, haunted Akiva, fixes his fire-colored eyes on her, the result is a star-crossed love whose roots drink deep of a violent past. So yes, these look so amazing. Here is the second book. And the third book. And I think these are just going to look beautiful right over there on my shelf. And I'm excited. Well, I'm excited for all of these books. Let's get real here. Then I got Next Year in Havana by Chanel Cleaton. And this says, after the death of her beloved grandmother, a Cuban-American woman travels to Havana where she discovers the roots of her identity and unearths a family secret hidden since the revolution. And this is a Reese's Book Club pick. I've seen a lot of stuff about this. I love the cover. It looks gorgeous. So one day I want to read this. Don't know when, but one day. And then I have finally completed the Fairy Pass series. Well, I have finished purchasing all of the books so that I have them now. I started this series years and years and years ago. It's about this girl who doesn't realize that she's a fairy, and I believe she discovers she's actually a fairy princess, and she's like trying to like come to terms with the fact that she is a fairy princess, and like it's just good. It has princess. She's a princess. She's a fairy. 2 of my favorite things. So yes, there are 6 books in this series, and this is the final book, The Charmed Return, and it's by Freewin Jones. And when did this last book come out? So this last book came out in 2011. So this was written in like the later 2000s. So it's an older YA series, and I've never really heard anyone talk about this. Like, when I was originally reading the series, I didn't know anyone else who was reading this. So if you all ever read this series, even if you just read the first book, let me know down below, because I really would like to know if anyone else has read this. Because I think it's just one of those like hidden gems that not that many people ever picked up. But I really like it, and I can't wait to finally finish reading the series. Then I got the final book of the... Oh, okay. So I got the the last book in the Age of Legends series by Kelly Armstrong. So this is Forest of Ruin. This is another older YA series that I don't think I've actually read any of it yet. And I honestly don't know what this is about either. But yeah, this last book came out in 2016. So it's not old, but it's older. And I really like Kelly Armstrong. I think she did... I picked this series up because I read another series that she did. It's a picture of a girl on all the covers, and she's like wearing a different like cool stone necklace on every cover. But I don't remember what it's called. But I have no idea what this series is about. I just remember I really liked her other young adult series, so I picked this one up. We're going to find out together what this series is about here. So the first book is Sea of Shadows. And let's see here. They hear the spirits they must obey. In the Forest of the Dead, where the Empire's worst criminals are exiled, twin sisters Moria and Ashen, it's an interesting name, are charged with a dangerous task. For they are the keeper and the seeker, and each year they must quiet the enraged souls of the damned. Only this year the souls will not be quieted. Ambushed and separated by an ancient evil, the sisters must journey to find each other, sending them far from the only home they've ever known. Accompanied by a stubborn imperial guard and a dashing condemned thief, the girls cross a once empty wasteland, now filled with reawakened monsters of legend, as they travel to warn the Emperor, but a terrible secret awaits them at court, one that will alter the balance of their world forever. Okay, so that sounds really good. It also kind of sounds like it has the same elements that Carnival did, with the two sisters being separated. But in this one, it looks like they each have a guy helping them, and then they're trying to find each other, where in Carnival, Scarlet is hooked up with a sailor and is trying to find her sister, but kind of like the same concept. So I'll probably actually really like this series, especially if it's done as well as or better than Carnival. So yeah, this actually sounds really good. Maybe I'll have to read that series after I finish Carnival. Or maybe it will be too soon. I don't know. Yes, I want to try to get all of Gail Carringer's books, because she writes these really like quirky, supernatural, like steampunk Victorian novels, and she has like adult versions or like adult editions in the series, and then she also has like a young adult series too, and they kind of all have like the same feel. So I have almost all of them, but like the Custard Protocol, don't know why I don't have all those yet. So I have the first book already, and then I picked up books 2 and 3, and then I'm planning on buying book 4 in September. So I believe, yes, book 2 is Imprudence and book 3 is Competence. And yeah, they're just a really cool supernatural series set in Victorian London that has like the steampunk feel to it. And I need to finish the first series. I actually have only read like, I think 2 of her books. I love the first 2, but I don't know why I haven't read any more. But once I have all of them, I think I'll be more inclined to read them all. So, at least that's my hope. That's my hope. Then I got the 4th book in the Rosewood Chronicles by Connie Glenn, and this is Princess at Heart, and this is so pretty. This is also the UK edition of the book. And this series is about a princess who kind of wants to go to school and be kind of normal, but like there's people out to get her. So she goes to this school, like private school, where all like these wealthy people and dignitaries and like other princes and princesses go. And she's hiding the fact that she's a princess. And her roommate finds out her secret and then kind of pretends to be the princess when it leaks out that the princess is going there. That way, the roommate is in danger instead of the actual princess. And It's interesting, and the girls don't look alike. It's just no one really knows what the princess of this kingdom looks like because her parents have hidden her away because they're, like, afraid for her life. And then there's I think he's a bodyguard. And I've only read the first book so far, but I believe, like, the bodyguard, the roommate, and the princess all kind of have, like, this, like, relationship going on. It's interesting. I was kind of confused because it seemed like she liked her roommate. Like, the princess, it seemed like her roommate, but it also seemed like she liked the bodyguard. But then the bodyguard acted like he liked both girls, and then the roommate acted like she had a thing for the princess and the bodyguard. So I don't know if it's going to be something like, Cassandra Clare's The Dark Artifacts? Dark Artifices? The one that had Lady Midnight in it, and, like, the one shadow hunter likes the fairy, and both of them. One, there's the girl, and then there's the half shadow hunter, half fairy, and then the full fairy, and they all kind of have, like, they all love each other. And they're, like, in a, like, mutual loving relationship. So I'm wondering if that's kind of what's going to happen in this. I don't know, but I'll find out eventually. Then I got book 2 of the Crave series. So this is Crushed by Tracy Wolf. And this is a chunker. Like, it's a chunker. I don't, wow, like, whew. This is going to take me a while. But that's okay. I really enjoyed the first book, Crave. If you don't know what Crave is about, it's kind of, well, it is a, like, your stereotypical vampire, like, YA book about a girl who goes to a school that's for supernaturals, and of course she is, like, a vampire kind of sets his sights on her, she sets her sights on him. She has to discover that everyone is actually magical because she believes she's not. And there's someone out to kill her because they're trying to bring someone back from the dead. And it's a lot of people compare this to Twilight, and they say it's, like, cringy and everything. Which, I mean, honestly, let's be real here. Most YA vampire books are kind of cringy. But that's kind of why we love them, because they're enjoyably cringy. Like, it makes you laugh at the cringe. Because, like, reading the first book, like, I didn't love it, but I did enjoy it. It was, like, funny. And then you were also kind of laughing at, like, the main girl for being an idiot. Because she wasn't getting the fact that everyone is, like, supernatural. But then you were also, at least I was kind of annoyed that everyone's like, oh, you need to run. You're not safe here. And she's like, this is a boarding school. What do you mean I'm not safe here? Oh, you don't understand. We're dangerous. Okay, cool. Like, like, no one really explained to her what was going on. They just expected her to understand what they were telling her very vaguely and to run for her life. And then it ends, of course, on a cliffhanger, and I believe this is going to be the second book. It's going to be from the perspective of the vampire that she's in love with. But yeah, I'm hoping to get to this in September, but I don't know, because, like, my list is getting out of control, and this is a really big book, so it might have to wait till October. But we will see. But I do look forward to reading this, because I like my cringy vampire stories. If it has vampires in it or fairies, I'm probably going to read it. Then we have here Brazen by Christina Farley, and this is the third and final book in, I think it's the Gilded series? I don't know. We're going to pull out the first book too. Gilded, the first book. This series is about, in ancient times there was a daughter of the spirit of the river. Her name was Princess Yua. Another princess. Yay. She had such beauty, anyone who laid eyes on her fell in love with her. One hot day, she and her sisters were bathing in a pond. This was the very day Heimosu, a demigod, decided to pay a visit to the people of the earth and set his mark on the land. He saw her and fell instantly in love, deciding he must have her as his wife, but she refused. He gave her a beautiful bracelet gilded of heavenly gold and promised he would change her mind. 4 more times he returned, entreating her to come with him to his beautiful land. Yet still the princess refused. This infuriated him, and he decided to marry her against her will. Helpless, the princess was taken away in Heimosu's chariot Oriongyo, driven by 5 dragons to the spirit world. What Heimosu underestimated was Princess Yua. She secretly withdrew a golden pin from her hair, cut her way through the bottom of the chariot, and fell back to her people. The princess fled to China, where Heimosu had no power. Even today, Heimosu still seeks her. Okay, this sounds awesome. I don't know why I never read this. Why didn't I read this? Okay, so that there sounds like that is a precursor to what's going on. Because here it says 16-year-old Jae-hwa Lee is a Korean-American girl with a black belt. Ooh, yes! A deadly proclivity with steel-tipped arrows and a chip on her shoulder the size of Korea itself. When her widowed dad uproots her to Seoul from her home in LA, Jae thinks her biggest challenges will be fitting into a new school and dealing with her dismissive Korean grandfather. Then she discovers that a Korean demigod, Heimosu, has been stealing the soul of the oldest daughter of each generation in her family for centuries, and she's next. Okay, so the story's going to follow, I guess, one of her great-great-granddaughters of this princess who escaped from this demigod. Why did I ever read this, people? Like, this sounds amazing. Like, I need to get on this. Oh my goodness. I must have just bought this series and, like, never read it. Or, like, even read the description, because I don't remember this description at all. This sounds... Okay, y'all. I need to get to this, like, ASAP. I kind of actually want to start reading it now, because it sounds so good. But I can't. But that just sounds amazing. I'm really glad I got the last book so I can finally get to it. And then, the final books for this book haul. I don't know if y'all ever read Shadow Falls, but it's one of my favorite series. It's amazing. Then they made like a sequel series, which for some reason I have not read. But I have all the books now, and I'm going to have to get to that too. Which I just don't know what to do because I have so many good books. I don't know what to do, y'all. I just don't know what to do. But I think this is the 4th? Yes, this is the 4th and final book in the Shadow Falls series. And this is the 4th book of the sequel series. And then this here, Almost Midnight by C.C. Hunter, is the novella collection. So, I am so excited. I need this in my life. Let's see. The sequel series, I believe, follows a different girl. So this is Shadow Falls After Dark, where the original series is just called Shadow Falls. But it says, enter Shadow Falls After Dark and meet a vampire named Della, who's about to discover what her own story is meant to be. I think Della was the roommate of the main girl character in the original series. I think. Della had the perfect life, the family, a boyfriend, and a bright future, until she was turned and abandoned by everyone she loves. She takes refuge at Shadow Falls, a camp for teens with paranormal powers. It's where she and her best friends, Keely and Miranda, heal their heartbreak with laughter, and where Della is training to be a paranormal investigator, and she refuses to be distracted. That means there's no time for romance with Steve, a gorgeous shapeshifter whose kisses melt her heart. When a new vampire named Chase shows up at camp, Della's world is thrown into even more chaos. Arrogant and annoyingly sexy, Chase is a mystery, and the only mystery Della likes is one she can solve. She can't solve Chase, at least not while she's dealing with ghostly hauntings, vampire gangs, and a web of family secrets. Can she prove herself as an investigator and keep her life and her heart intact? So that sounds really good. So yeah, Shadow Falls is centered around a camp that has supernatural creatures. So it's kind of like the whole supernatural like boarding school, but set at a camp. So it's a little different, and it's really well written. I remember just absolutely loving the first book series. I just ate through those books like no tomorrow. So yeah, there are some really great books here that I need to read. Like this, I think is one of my best hauls I've ever been. Like I'm so excited for like almost every single one of these books. So yeah, comment down below if you've read any of these books. You know, if I should get to, one of these series sooner. If I should take, a series should take precedence over another. Also, let me know what you're reading, what books you've gotten recently. And yeah, I hope to see you all next time. Bye-bye!